And here we are in part 3 of our what TDA secret accounts and incarceration have in common. And I wanted to point out something that's actually extremely important with regards to what we're discussing. And that is that the IRS has actually been dealing with this for so many years at this point that they have put out a document that I'm going to link you to in the description that is a PDF document, several pages long and several different sections about frivolous tax arguments. It's going to provide you with a description of some of the responses of the common frivolous arguments that are made by individuals and groups who oppose compliance with the federal tax laws. The first section groups these arguments under 5 general categories with variations within each category. Each contention is briefly explained, followed by a discussion of the legal authority that rejects the contention. The second section responds to some of the common frivolous arguments made in collection due process cases brought pursuant to sections 6320 and 6330. These arguments are grouped under 10 general categories and contain a brief description of each contention. Now, the reason that this is important is because I am going to be doing a separate video with regards to this. I'm going to address each individual section. I'm going to do that because it has become apparent that the internet is simply run rampant with these falsities regarding these secret accounts and bonds and 1099 OIDs and promissory notes. Someone is going to find themselves in an awful lot of trouble for perpetuating this already. But many people that are actually fairly innocent in terms of taking advice from these individuals that know what they're saying is inaccurate. And unfortunately, those people are finding themselves in just as much trouble. So I want to make sure that we address this in a way that is going to help people to understand that you've got to be more conscientious of who you take your advice from. When you're going through a YouTube video, mine included, you need to make sure that you do your due diligence in researching what's being said. And I don't mean just by searching the internet. Go to your local library. When it comes down to actually researching law, you need to research in a law library. You don't get to use the I didn't know defense in court and expect that it's going to work. We're talking about your livelihood, your homes, your credit. We're talking about your life. So please, everyone, just really dig in when it comes to this stuff. Don't try things without knowing what the consequences for trying those things are. Don't assume because you agree with a conspiracy that the government actually has created that every conspiracy is real. In the next case, we have the United States Court of Appeals 7th Circuit against Gary L. Pansear. Now, Gary was another tax protester and was once again going along with the sovereign citizen movement, but he went about things a little bit differently. The background on this case is that Gary Pansear, a tax protester, did not pay his taxes for many years. When federal, state, and local revenue agents attempted to collect his delinquent taxes, Pansear responded by requesting personal information from the individual agents and filing false forms with the Internal Revenue Service, claiming that the individual revenue agents had been involved in a large cash transaction on his behalf. He also attempted to satisfy his various tax debts with phony sight drafts, a type of financial instrument which appeared to be drawn on a Treasury direct account and issued under the authority of United States Department of Treasury. For his behavior, Pansear was convicted of obstructing the administration of the IRS, filing false IRS forms, and passing phony financial instruments with the intent to defraud. Over here in background, you will see that Pansear and his wife refused to pay income tax and property taxes for many years. As a result, the IRS, the Wisconsin Department of Revenue, and the Treasurer's Office of Marionette County each sent the Pansears notice of their tax delinquencies. Pansear responded to these notices by returning them to the relevant taxing authority, stamped with the words "accepted for value" and "exempt from levy." Sound familiar, everyone? This will once again be found in the description for your review. And on to the next case. Okay, the United States Attorney's Office, Middle District of Florida, Department of Justice. Ohio couple sentenced for attempting to defraud creditors and fraudulently obtaining tax refund money. In Orlando, Florida, the U.S. District Judge Gregory A. Presnell today sentenced Stephen Richnafasky, 38 years old, to 20 months in federal prison for mail fraud and obstruction of internal revenue laws. The court also ordered Richnafsky to make full restitution to the Internal Revenue Service in the amount of $42,021.88. Additionally, his domestic partner, Selena Spikes, 40 years old, was sentenced to 2 years of probation for her role in the mail fraud scheme. Now, they both pleaded guilty on November 19th of 2013. According to the court documents, between July of 2009 and August of 2010, both of these people conspired to evade their debts by mailing fraudulent documents through the U.S. mail to their creditors. These documents included letters disguised as official documents, fraudulent promissory notes, and other documents directing creditors to collect funds from fictitious treasury accounts. The documents also included bills and account statements which were stamped or handwritten with statements such as "accepted for value" and "returned for value." Once again, folks, same wording, same type of statements. All over the place here, you're seeing these people being charged for the exact things that the gurus are telling you to do. On to the next case. Okay, and in this next case, we have Pinson man sentenced for mailing fictitious financial statements. A federal judge Monday sentenced a Pinson man and member of the anti-government Sovereign Citizens Group for mailing a fictitious financial instrument to pay off his home mortgage, announced U.S. Attorney Joyce White Vance and FBI Special Agent in Charge Richard D. Schwinn, Jr. U.S. District Judge Johnson sentenced Donald Joe Barber, 64 years old, for mailing a fictitious bonded promissory note to his mortgage servicing company on March 10, 2008, in fraudulent effort to satisfy his mortgage. Berber presented the fraudulent $10 million note as if it were a valid financial instrument drawn on a U.S. Government account. A federal jury convicted Barber on the fraud charge in April. During that hearing, Barber began reading a letter that his attorney had to complete for him when he was unable to continue, in which Barber told the court that he would stop promoting the beliefs of the sovereign citizen movement. Johnson ordered Barber to serve his 2-year federal prison sentence after completing sentences he has in state court. Barber will remain on supervised release for 2 years following completion of his federal prison sentence. Members of the sovereign citizen movement embrace an unfounded, mythological history of the United States to claim that they live outside the authority of government and its laws, Vance said. Standing on that twisted premise, they break the law using fraudulent financial instruments and false court claims to advance an agenda of domestic terrorism. The FBI describes members of the sovereign citizen movement in the U.S. as U.S. citizens who openly are rejecting their citizenship status and claim to exist beyond the realm of government authority. Affiliates may use their self-appointed status to justify threats violence or crime, including theft and fraud. The FBI investigates the case, which Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael W. Wisnot Sr. prosecuted. Okay, once again, a similar scenario. We're dealing with falsified promissory notes. We are dealing with Treasury direct accounts. I'm hoping that you're starting to see a trend here because there are dozens and dozens more just like this. One of the things that the gurus like to say is that no, they're not a part of the sovereign citizen movement, have nothing to do with sovereign citizen, but yes, it does. It's exactly the same type of information that's being touted. It's exactly the same statements that are being made with regards to secret treasury accounts, secret promissory notes you never knew that you could use, and secret bonds having to do with your birth certificate, so on and so forth. So please, everyone, make sure that you take a look at all of these cases, because if need be, I can drag out a bunch more thanks to the help that I have of my subscribers sending me one right after another that may not be in mainstream news on NBC Live After Dark, but they sure are all over the newspapers and in the court system. So once again, this is just to give you guys an update with regards to how many cases we can find linked to these Treasury direct accounts and falsified documentation that you've heard about for several years now. And next we are going to be going into the lost videotapes of Mr. Ulick, and that is the person who actually started this this crazy scenario. So we will be taking a look at that. And in addition to that, going over some of the fraudulent tax information and how the IRS is now dealing with that. So stay tuned, everybody, and please make sure that you research before doing anything actively yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope everyone's having a great afternoon.